I'm Dave Monroe, Professor of Ethics at SPC. I'd like to welcome you to the module on critical thinking. In this module, you'll learn to apply critical thinking skills, logical reasoning, in making ethical arguments and learning how to avoid fallacious thought. You may be wondering, what is critical thinking? You've heard this buzzword in various places, maybe in other classes that you've taken, your composition classes or your science classes, but maybe it's never been explicitly explained to you exactly what critical thinking is. Well, I'm not going to tease all of that out for you because that's the subject of the module, but to get you started, the basic idea is that critical thinking is using standards of good reasoning to come to well-founded conclusions and decisions. And what does that involve? Well, there are some standards here. Not any thinking is critical thinking. There are some rules that you have to follow in order for your thought to be counted as critical. So that partly involves what we call logic, which will be explained partly to you as this module unfolds. But also there's a problem-solving element here with critical thinking. It isn't just about how you think, but it's also a way of helping you solve problems in your everyday life. So, in this module, you'll be introduced to basic logical concepts, like arguments, and how to assess them, ideas like soundness, validity, and cogency. You'll come to understand deceptive, misleading, or poor reasoning that we call fallacies. Fallacies are a really important thing to understand. They're used in lots of contexts to trick you into believing things that maybe you don't have good reason to believe, or to sell you things that you ought not to buy. So learning to understand these fallacies helps you avoid bad reasoning in all of its forms, or many of its forms, to give you a clearer picture of what the world is really like and to help you make better decisions. And lastly, speaking of making better decisions, probably the most important thing you'll learn in this chapter is a decision-making model for making ethical decisions. After all, this isn't a class that's just on critical thinking or logic, it's a class on ethics. And so we want to show you how this all ties together, so you can see how critical thinking can help you come to better ethical decisions. So there's a model that you'll study and use to solve real-life ethical problems. You may wonder, wait a minute, this is about solving real-life ethical problems. Why bother with this critical thinking stuff? After all, you've been thinking about right and wrong your whole life. Isn't it easier just to rely on the received wisdom from other folks? After all, people have been solving problems for thousands of years, from the ancient Greeks all the way down to your parents, your family, your friends, your pastors, your political representatives. Why not just do what they think is best? After all, they've been at it for a long time. Well, to the extent that we let other people do our thinking for us, we form our beliefs after what other people have given us as far as received wisdom. Consider this. Our beliefs inform or shape our desires, which in turn inform and shape how we act. So, for example, your belief that education is of value has formed in you the desire to come to school or take some classes, and then led you to those actions to make that reality. So it's crucial that we understand that the beliefs that we have are the right ones to have, and not just accept received wisdom on its own, at face value, as the sole guiding principle for what we do. Received wisdom is a very good starting point, but it can't be the end. Why not? Well, consider, to the extent that your beliefs come from outside sources, unless you critically reflect on those beliefs, you essentially become a marionette for the ideas of others. That is to say, you're a slave to someone else's beliefs. What's wrong with that? Well, I don't know. Maybe you like that kind of thing. But for my part, I value my intellectual freedom, and I think that you will too. So becoming a critical thinker helps you break away from the tyranny of other people's ideas and form for yourself good decisions and good beliefs about your life and how you actually think and how you actually want to live. That's why one should become a critical thinker, and this module will help you begin to develop the skills to give you that kind of intellectual freedom.